Forward. Yeah, we. All right, guys. We're warmed up. We're warmed up. We're ready to go, man. Let's
Warmed
go.
up.
Let's get
I'm
it. Let's
so
get it.
loose.
Yeah. Let's get it cranking, man. So, okay. So we're gonna just get right into it. Thank y'all so much. We've got Cline on the podcast, and
Yeah,
hey, now, come on, let's go.
it's us
Um,
and it's game day in Hilltopper Country.
Yep,
yeah.
Yeah.
it's game day.
Love
Number
that,
one,
man.
group of
Love
five.
that. Well, man, and we can definitely get into that because I know that you guys, I've been following y'all on Instagram a little bit, and I want y'all to introduce yourself here in just a second, but I know y'all kind of have you been like Derek, have you been doing like the football tour when you guys kind of go out and about? I mean, are you going to different
Oh, I mean,
stadiums and
everywhere, as long as we've been traveling, I mean, everywhere that we play, that there's a stadium, I'm going.
Yeah.
love it?
It's some weird, I don't know, it's just weird about me, but I just love stadiums.
We love it.
Yeah.
We went and sat
Yeah.
one day. It's not even just football. It's like one day we went and walked. We were playing in Oxford, right,
Yeah.
Mississippi,
Yeah.
and Ole Miss had just won the College World Series, but they were doing like summer intramural stuff.
Yeah.
Not intramural, inter squad stuff. And we just like walked up into Ole Miss's baseball stadium and watched them play
Watch them play.
for
Oh,
like an
okay.
hour.
That's amazing.
What's
Yeah.
cool about playing college towns too is, like, if you go play in Athens, like if there's a game on Saturday, Thursday, there's already security guards sitting there at the gates, like
Man. Yeah.
not getting into that stadium. But like Oxford, we were in Huntsville, Sam Houston, part of the Conference USA, like they're just open. Like you
Yeah.
can just, even Illinois.
Yeah.
Last time we played in Champaign,
Just
Illinois,
walked in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
we just
Totally.
walked up in there and just checked it out. So
They're
That's
just
incredible.
fanatics,
Yeah, we're
so they're
sports
gonna
fans.
they're gonna go find it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love a live sporting event
Yeah.
or a
No.
TV sporting event.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally, totally. Well, listen, I'm glad you guys are getting to see some of that stuff. I mean, that sounds incredible. And so, real quick, so Klein, before we kind of talk about how we met and all this kind of stuff, I mean, introduce yourself and kind of how we got here, and how we're here, just kind of talking about you and music and all the stuff.
I'm Garrett. I'm the oldest of two brothers, me and Derek.
I'm Derek. I'm the youngest of two brothers, me
and
and Garrett.
and I married Jacqueline in 2011.
Love it.
And I'm Jack, and I'm married into this.
There you go. The madness.
I'm
And
married,
that's-
I'm
For
married
better
into
or for
this.
worse.
Yeah. She
Love it.
She married. Derek has a wife, but
Someone
Jacqueline
said the other
married
day-
into just
Yeah,
this
someone said-
situation.
You married
Yeah.
Garrett, but you probably also married Derek too, didn't you? And
got
I
a
was like,
A
bonus.
little bit, yeah.
yep.
I'd call it a bonus.
No, man, listen, when you get married, you marry, obviously, I mean, we all know this, into the family. So
Yeah.
my wife has got 11 brothers and sisters.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
my
Wow.
God.
She's got 8 brothers, and man, they have kind of put the screws to me, more than once.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet.
So yeah, but you marry into the family, man. But so okay, because we want to talk music. I mean, obviously, you guys have got a journey that you're on. But before we do that, I want to hear the love story. You said 2011, right? So like,
Yeah.
give me the whole like background on how you guys met, and then how it kind of became, really more, or in addition, a musical, relationship as well.
Yeah. Well, so Garrett, Derek, and I all met in our youth worship band here at our church. We've been at our church for 28, 30 years.
20, yeah,
Yeah.
20. We've been here 25 for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I get the honor of saying 30 this year, which is really cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But we met in our youth praise band, and I mean, honestly, just became friends pretty much right then, and started doing like worship things together. And one night I get a call. The guys have been hanging out, and they were like, Jack, would you want to write lyrics and like melody to this song we wrote? And I'm like, heck yeah, let's do it. And that just started our writing journey. And
Yeah.
so kind of like, since that was 2006,
Six, I think.
or 7 or
2005.
5, 2005.
Yeah, maybe 2005.
And so we're youngins, just, having a good time writing music, playing shows. But that's really how we met, just at our local church. And then we all have this gift of writing in different capacities. And we decided it was, worth a shot, and we haven't stopped. So
Yeah, no, love it, love it. And
I-
so go ahead.
I
I'm
was
sorry,
going
Gary.
to say, my dad is probably, I think we would all agree, one of the wisest men we know.
mm,
And when I was in high school, maybe even before high school, maybe I was in middle school, and I was like, Dad, I think I want to do music. And he was always just like, yeah, you can do music.
mm.
Just figure it out. God will open the doors. You can do that.
Yeah.
And he's like, just don't ever date a girl. Like, don't ever have a girl in the band. And then he said, and if you do have a
Yeah.
girl in the band, do not date that girl in the
Oh,
band.
man.
And so
Yeah.
Jacqueline and I got married, and it worked out.
Yeah.
No, dude.
The only
Yeah.
thing he's ever been
It's
wrong
been
about.
all right.
No, absolutely, man.
I don't know that he was wrong. I'm just saying it worked out.
Yeah.
It wasn't wrong. We've just endured.
Yeah. No, man. Well, listen, I mean, and I'm not just saying this, man. Y'all look like a really like tight knit bunch, right? And after I watch y'all's podcast, and again, I want y'all to, I want people to go follow that too. Cline.
Oh, I'd love to. We're so
It's
pumped
so
about
fun.
that.
We don't
Yeah.
care if we just like sitting down and
It's
talking.
so fresh and fun. Yeah.
No, it's exactly, man. And just kind of like after I watched that episode, and I mean this, I was like, man, those are the kind of people that I want to eat breakfast with. Those are the
Yeah.
kind of people I think I want to eat biscuits with, and
I love
Amen.
it. Let's do
yeah,
it.
We
yeah.
need to make
So
some biscuits.
so yeah, man. I mean, y'all just so from Bowling Green, correct? Y'all are straight out of
Yeah.
Kentucky.
Yeah.
Bowling
Yeah.
Green, Kentucky. Yep.
Yeah, and that man, listen, it comes through. I'm a Texan, and that comes through sometimes. But man, y'all are
Oh, you're gonna love our next podcast then.
okay. Nice, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were in
Yeah.
Texas all week last week.
Where did y'all play?
We played in Huntsville, Texas,
Okay.
Austin,
Yep.
Fort Worth,
Cameron.
Yep.
and Cameron, Texas.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
I'm from Fort Worth. Where'd y'all play?
Oh,
Oh,
sweet.
I loved it.
Yeah.
That's where I would move. If I moved to Texas, I'd move to Fort Worth.
Yep.
It
We
was
went
awesome.
to the stockyards and walked
Love it.
around, and you
Yeah.
know, it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
Man,
was.
so I'll tell you, so the Stockyards, I went there 2 years ago, went to see family, and it's nothing like when I was growing up. I mean, it is such a tourist attraction,
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
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 packed,
It's like Broadway, but it's
Yeah.
like it's like
It's small scale
better.
Texas Broadway.
Yeah.
I don't love Broadway,
Yeah.
No,
It
no,
is
no.
better.
but I
It's
but I
so
kind of
good.
like the stockyards. Or
Yeah.
I was just gonna say. So we used to play with a country guy years back, and we played Billy Bob's. I feel
Mhm.
like every
Yeah.
year we played Billy Bob's, and I never went out and looked at the stockyards.
Yeah.
I would just
Yeah.
sit back there on the bus with all like the cows and the horses
Yeah.
pooping. And
Yeah.
so all
Yeah.
I knew of the stockyards is like, y'all really want to go smell poop all day?
Man.
But it was amazing. It
Yeah.
was all
Yeah, we
I
had a
mean,
good
it's right. I mean, when you step out of Billy Bob's, it's literally right
right
there, right?
there. Yep.
It's on.
And they've got Cooper's barbecue there. They've got a ton of. I mean, obviously more barbecue you can shake a stick at, Mexican food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm glad y'all like my hometown, and so
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
Hey, here's a Fort Worth thing for you. I've never told anybody until we were in Fort Worth. When was that? Sunday?
Yeah.
So if you walk out of Billy Bob's, the Whataburger that's like
Yeah.
right there across the street,
we love Whataburger.
that's where me and Derek decided or felt like God was like, hey, it's time to go do Cline.
Yeah,
Mhm.
really.
Now, we had a Holy Spirit moment right there in Whataburger.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we
It'll,
did.
it'll do it for you, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll get you there. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're pretty proud of it, man. And listen, some people, my wife hates it. She's from Philadelphia. She's from Philadelphia, and
Okay.
he just doesn't get the draw of Whataburger. But yeah, man. So we're pretty proud of it. But so
We'll pray
so let me yeah, pray, please, please. And so let me ask you. So like, because I'm curious, like when you guys started putting things together, like Jack said, like your songwriting and all this kind of stuff. I'm curious, and I don't want the polished like Christian answer here. Because
Yeah.
who are your influences? Most, some people are gonna say, "Oh man, I love Sandy Patty," or "I loved," no disrespect, whatever. I mean, but I mean,
Bill
like, were you-
Gaither.
yeah, exactly. I mean, but were you guys inspired by? I mean, the Allman Brothers. Who really got you?
We had
going?
both of us had incredible parents.
Mhm.
Jacqueline's dad died really young, so she only had him for 13 years.
Oh wow.
But even in those years, like I think our parents were really influential on us musically.
Oh, yeah.
And for Derek and I, our first concert ever was Leonard Skinner.
Oh wow.
Our
Okay.
second concert ever was Carmen
in the same year.
Wow.
in the same year.
Wow.
So we were not a legalistic. We were a Christian household, but not
With music.
not in legalism, not in a legalistic way. And so, our early influences were Southern rock. The
Sure.
first CD, I remember Dad going, "This is not I'm not asking you. You have to listen to AC/DC and Back in Black. You have to. Like
Yeah.
you're not. This is homework. This is not." He didn't give us a lecture about the lyrical content or whatever. He's just like, "You guys got to learn how to.
Wow.
This is how you do music. This is how you do bass and drums." And then you want to talk about some of yours?
One of my mom's like favorite vocalists was Sandy Patty. So
Really?
that's funny. You said that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I heard her a lot just because my mom sang, my dad sang. My dad, both of them were incredible singers when they were younger. My mom still sings, but I I just growing up, I listened to like Luther Vandross, Mariah Carey, and though that music inspires me, but like that's not really my taste. You know, what comes out of me is a little different. But as for inspiration, it's normally like pop or R&B that really gets my creativity flowing and excited about music. Sure. But I'm a good old, I guess, Southern girl, so it comes out different.
I think most of the music I listen to, ironically, like both Jacqueline and Derek are music discoverers. Mm-hmm. Like Derek brought Lanny, which is a pop band, to us way before anybody knew who Lanny was. And, and then they blow up. And Jacqueline's like, hey, you got to listen to this band Mute Math.
Yeah.
And it was like, Mute Math is probably the most influential. The first Mute Math record with Typical on it. That's probably the most influential musical record of my life.
That's crazy to hear you say that. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's like that record.
Isn't that who I have on my arm?
Yeah. We danced to You Are Mine.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But I think, ironically, like my musical influences are Derek and Jacqueline and whatever they give me.
Yeah.
But it's like if you were like, hey, what's your most influential records of all time? It's that Mute Math record. It's AC/DC Back in Black.
Wow.
It's John Mayer Continuum. Because Pino Palladino.
Yeah.
And then it's like probably drummer, right? Curtis Chapman Speechless. Stephen Curtis Chapman Speechless is why I wanted to sing Christian music.
Yeah.
Like you can write music that's good and it be about Jesus.
Yeah.
That makes you want to do that, and so it's a melting pot of all that.
But there's also like Cody Carnes, like he very newer, much, the newer Cody Carnes stuff, like
amazing,
so good.
Oh, I was just gonna say when I got old enough to like drive my '97 Chevrolet Blazer it was red with a gray bumper.
Yeah.
And somebody, this is quick. Sorry, I'm going a little off.
No, go for it, man.
Here. Had a friend here at church. We went on a mission trip. He got saved this through our conversation, and baptized me. It was a cool moment of my childhood. But his dad wanted to do something nice for me, so they stole my '97 Chevrolet red and gray Blazer and put this like amazing system in it.
Oh wow,
that's so funny. And so when I got that system is when I started discovering like metal bands, like Under Oath and No Devil Wears Prada. Wow. Like, and so that's what I was gonna say. I still find myself like, I think all those albums you said I like, but then I'm still like listening to bands like Beartooth and Architects and it probably shows a little too much in my Christian drumming. But there you go.
No, man. My brother, he's a preacher in Northeast Arkansas, and growing up, man, it's funny that he became a preacher. I mean, he was listening to Tool and Soundgarden and just like I mean, he was just listening to stuff that I was like, it's one of those things. We're going to Christian camp, and I'm praying for my little brother, in front of everybody, like, hey, this guy he's deep in it, guys. He's deep in the sin right now, listening to Soundgarden, well, no, so here's the thing. So like, take me, because I love to hear your influences, but I know that, we had talked about it, Garrett, you played for with Dylan Scott, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, obviously that's a good gig. And let me say that because as best I know, the Scott brothers are crushing, right? Or they're doing well, right?
Oh yeah.
So I guess, my curiosity is like, how long did you do that? At what point did you say, hey man, this is a good gig, but we're stepping out, we're going to do our own thing. And how hard was that to really do?
Yeah. How many hours is this podcast long?
Well, I just upgraded to the unlimited plan, so we should.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So we got a minute. Jacqueline might have to leave in a second to go pick our kids up.
Gotcha.
No, we man, the dream was always Cline. Like from the get-go. Yeah. Okay. Like to the point, and feel free to interrupt me at any point in the story, but I think it is you kind of got to hear a lot of it to understand. So I was 25 years old. I was just working at church. I'd already graduated college. I was going to seminary. And Dylan and I had a mutual friend. I didn't know Dylan, didn't really listen to country music outside of like Keith Urban. And I love Keith Urban, still do. Yeah. But we had a mutual friend, this guy named Dallas Wilson, who is now, I think he's got like 6 cuts on Lainey Wilson's record. He's got like 3 number ones. But back then he was in college with Jacqueline, and Jacqueline went back to school at Western, and they were like, "Hey, I think Dallas asked you."
Yeah.
Would
We're
Garrett
playing racquetball.
racquetball, and Dallas was like, "Hey, would Garrett be interested in doing a country gig?" And a short version of a longer thing is that Jacqueline had already felt like God had told her, like, I mean, really, like, you're about to have some sacrifice. Mm-hmm. Like, you're going to have sacrifice in order for these dreams to happen.
I asked the Lord for opportunities for Garrett. That was the top of my prayer list for like forever. And God told me one day while I was praying, this is going to cost you. And I just heard sacrifice. And I said, okay, cool. Yep. I'm down. Let's go. You know?
So, I literally just got a call one day from Dylan Scott, and he's like
4 days later.
And I had done a favor for a friend of Dallas's, like played on his like album release show. And his dad is Lonnie Wilson, who was like ACM Drummer of the Year a bunch. All the Rascal Flatts records, those early Carrie Underwood records, everything Brooks had done, ever put out, it's all Lonnie. Okay, so I got to meet Lonnie. Lonnie introduced me to some of my heroes. And then one day, Dylan Scott calls. He's like, "Hey, man, Lonnie Wilson says you're the guy. His name's gold as far as I'm concerned. Do you want the gig?" There was no tryout. We had never met. Like, nothing. I'd never done anything pro, you know. And I was like, "Yeah, I'll call you back. I need to talk to my wife." And I walked in, and Jacqueline's like, "Hey, God already told me this is going to happen." So I was like, "Oh, okay." So I called him back, and I was like, "Yes." And our motto that's just kind of been woven through our whole existence is yes is on the table. Like, if we put our yes on the table, we trust God to open and close doors. And it just makes all the decisions easier. You know, it's like, if you get asked to do something, we'll just go do it. You don't really have to think that hard about it. Like, trust that God already lined that up for whatever reason. So I was kind of like, I called him back, and I was like, he's like, "Oh, I thought you'd call me like in a week." It's like, "No, I'm ready. Let's go."
Right.
And immediately kind of was like, "God, I think I know where we're going. This does not seem like the right road to get to Christian music." Right. And so we went. I worked for Dylan for 1 week, and his drummer sucked, and he knew it. And he called me.
Yeah, we can cut this.
"Hey, man, we need to. What do you think about this drummer?" Our first weekend out, we opened for Little Big Town, and I was like, "Oh, this is legit.
Wild.
Like, this is like a legit thing, you know?" Yeah. And he had just gotten his first single, like, kind of shipped to country radio, I think. And I was like, "Well, I know a guy, if you want a real drummer, you know." I was like, "He's either going to fire me or he trusts me, you know." And so the next week, Derek started and immediately became the band leader. And Derek's just like, you may have heard, but he's a monster drummer. He knows everything there is to know about Ableton and tracks and show design. And like, Derek could literally work for anybody on any stadium show in the world.
Wow.
And we had this just like awesome tight knit band with me, Derek, and Dylan's younger brother, Logan.
Yeah.
Who's just still love him so much. He's so
awesome
great.
guy.
Awesome guy, and a great guitar player. And so kind of the rest is history. You know, we started traveling with Dylan, kind of moved to a van, Sprinter van. And then early on, Dylan's producer was this guy named Jim Ed Norman, who, like, he wrote the score to Desperado.
Oh, wow.
His best friends are the Eagles. He was like Linda Ronstadt's A&R guy.
Stories are.
Google him sometime.
Yeah.
The Eagles, when they're touring with the orchestra right now, he's the conductor for the orchestra. Like, it's just crazy. Yeah. So Jim Ed we had favor with Jim Ed, and he's like, "Dylan, everybody uses the same session band. Your band can play. We need to use your band." And so we go in there and we cut My Girl, and My Girl becomes this big, now almost quadruple platinum #1 single. Amazing. And so, like, my first master session was a platinum record, you know. Like, that doesn't happen.
That doesn't happen.
You know?
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
And so Jim, Ed, Dylan, they just gave us a shot. And so we made that record, had a couple more #1s on that record, grew into the bus thing. Everything's kind of going like this, you know, and then COVID, boom.
Yeah.
COVID hits, and everybody kind of goes radio silent. We obviously, Jack and I were at that time on staff at our church still, and they supported me doing country touring. And during COVID, church hired Derek to help out with staffing stuff,
and we needed them.
And we needed
live
them.
stream, everything. We
needed
everything.
The way we did church was totally different, all of a sudden. And so we were like, okay, I had a total freak out, like legit, borderline panic attack. Like, how are we going to pay for anything? Like, I don't know. Blah, blah. And I was like, somehow one day I was like, God's reassigning us. That's what's happening right now. God's reassigning us. Like, this is our shot. Like, we were too busy to ever go, okay, now it's time to do Cline, So we started meeting with all these people. A lot of people we met through working with Dylan started helping us out, helping us book rights. The people at Curb Word Records were really, really, really good to us. Jonathan Mason, Trevor Matheson,
generous,
just really generous with their time and their writers. And one real specific, I think one, I'm get a little choked up thinking about it. I'll get it together in a minute. But one kind of like stone on the riverbank moment for us was one of our pastors handed us a check one day. Sorry. Hadn't talked about this in a while. And it was an astronomical amount of money at the time. It still is, but he said, hey, we just want to bless you. We know God's got plans for you.
Man.
And I just was like, all right, God, this is what you want to happen,
Yeah.
Just a real Ebenezer moment. And
that's incredible, man. And listen, feel free to give him my Venmo information.
I will.
After this.
I'm about to resend mine.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Garrett.
That was good. That got me out of it. And so I was like, I felt as clear as I've ever heard God speak, I guess, to me.
Yeah.
I felt God say to me, how many times do I have to calm the storm?
Yeah.
And I was like, God, one more time. Can you just calm it one more time? And we ended up writing a song with that title, which has kind of been like an anchor for us through that season, or was through that season. So blah, blah, blah. We get to the end of COVID. Well, Dylan's management calls, hey, we're going to go on tour with Luke.
We kind of thought like this was transition time.
Oh yeah, we thought it was over.
Out of Dylan into Cline, and then they get this call.
And he's like, hey, we're going to go on tour with Luke Bryan. Luke's the only guy who's not scared to go tour. We're going.
Wow.
And it wasn't as simple as that, but it was like, hey, this is our shot, And so right before that, you feel free to cut in. I don't want to tell your story. Derek went through this crazy divorce, like blindsided of us out of nowhere. None of us saw it coming, especially him. Wife ups and leaves, whole deal. Well, then we go on this Luke Bryan tour. We're like, well, I guess we're going on tour again, And so we go, we meet all these incredible people. Like a lot of people that used to work for Third Day, including Scotty Wilbanks, was working for Luke Bryan. And so we meet all these incredible people. That's how we got in touch with Lot Schutte, who's now managing us.
Yeah.
Who used to manage Third Day. And we're like, get to the end of 2021. We do Luke Bryan tour. We're like, okay, now it's time. God, release us, God. And it's like, nope, not yet. So we go on tour with Dylan again in 2022. We're writing, we're recording, we're working hard. Really, we're touring with Dylan Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We're leading worship at church on Wednesday and Sunday, and we're writing on Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah.
Wednesday, a lot of weeks.
And we've got kids.
And we got 2 kids.
In the midst of this.
And so we're like, this is crazy. I don't know. I think I was about to lose it a few times. Got to the end of the 2022, and we had a song Worthy One get picked up by Curb Word, and they wanted to put it out. And we were like, great, let's do this together. So long story short, we do that together. So it's out and doing stuff before, and we're still touring with Dylan. So we're like, going and visiting multitracks.com before the Dylan Scott show, and stuff like that. And so it just got to a point where we gave our notice, like, hey, we were kind of hoping like it was going to be this bright, shiny, beautiful, magical transition. We walk off this bus and we walk off on that bus and we go on tour as Cline. And it became obvious we were going to have to kind of take a step of faith, as God seems to do, step into the water before the waters part, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so we gave our notice, like, hey, thanks for everything you've done. Wouldn't be here without you. We got to go. And so it was a little over a year between that moment and May 1st of this year. May 1st to today, we've done 80 shows.
Amazing.
So just to rewind that all the way back to, how does God put Cline on tour with Rhett Walker in the fall of 2024? He puts Garrett on tour with Dylan Scott in 2014 at 25 years old.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. And it's just what's happened. And it's unbelievable. I don't even, saying it all out loud doesn't even feel real. I just want to sit here and cry about it,
Sure.
you know? And sorry to take the mic, but that's just
that's beautiful, man.
That has come to this moment. Like every single day now feels like our whole life prepared us for this moment.
Sure.
And that can sound cliche, but every single night we're on this tour right now with Rhett in the Nashville van. Shout out. It's like everything we've done has prepared us for this moment, and tonight's preparing us for tomorrow night.
Right.
And this tour is preparing us for the spring of 25. Yep. And it's just been a crazy journey, and it legitimately feels like it's starting. Sure. You know, we've been at this a long time.
Yeah, we always like to say we're a 15-year overnight success.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. With no record label or single on the radio.
Totally. Yeah. And well, and I definitely want to talk about that too, because it's like, you know, in talking to Garrett, you know, a couple weeks ago, you know, just understand, like you said, I mean, you've almost got it. You're in a position almost where, granted, you've got a manager that's working with you, guiding you, but you know, a lot of that too is you creating your own momentum, right? And creating a lot of your own heat. And like, so like, how are you guys doing that? I mean, I mean, obviously I know you're trying to up your social media game, and you're trying to like, but what are you guys, you know, doing to kind of really just get some traction, you know, going?
I think the biggest thing is just being able to get on tours for us. I think it's been the most tangible thing, you know, being out with Rhett every night, whether you're playing to 300 people or 1,000 people, every seat is taken. You know, Rhett's got a great following, and just really has no reason to, but believes in us and has just taken us under his wing. And so that's been a huge thing, because if you know from working in Nashville, nobody really, I'm gonna say this in the nicest way possible, nobody really cares about you and wants a piece of you until they see you doing something that at least is perceived successful. Sure. Then everybody starts calling.
Sure.
And so even this being on tour with Rhett has created a fire for us, even in town. It's like, hey, you know, they call a lot. Hey, what's up with Cline? You know, like, I thought we told them no, so they couldn't do it. You know, turns, you know, but it really is.
It turns out God is actually in control.
God is completely in charge, and we've met with every gatekeeper in Nashville, Tennessee, and they've all told us no.
Sure.
And God still said yes. So I hope that's encouragement to anybody. Yeah. If you've went and met with XYZ label, management company, booking agency, whatever, you know, and they've said no, you just don't got it. If God told you got it, you got it. You got something, and he'll use it. But I think it's that, and I think it's the music. I mean, just we care so deeply about making good music, sonically, and obviously mainly lyrically, you know. And I think that's what drives the whole thing. Yeah. And honestly, that's what drives everything. Nobody knows who For King and Country is if they never had a hit song. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Nobody knows who Kanye West is if he never had 808s and Heartbreaks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just like, we're just chasing after that song, man. Like, okay, how do we write the best song? And the cool thing about being on a label is, or not on a label, sorry, because we're independent, is we can put them out.
Sure. Yeah.
So when we get a song done, we put it out.
Yeah. You can dictate kind of how that schedule kind of goes. Yeah. Totally.
And a big help. Sorry, I'm kind of taking the mic. I just want to say too, Garrett mentioned Curb Word. Curb Word has like worked with us in such a crazy way. You know, they love our song Worthy One, and have put it out and then put it out again and then put it out again. That's and great. So they've actually been partnering with us too. And so we've got fire on that song. It's like, I think we laugh about it. I think the 18th version of it's out now, but that's been a big thing too.
Well, I think, go ahead.
the tour aspect, even more so than the people are everything. Like, we truly do love people, and that's not saying that others don't, but like, I can speak on our behalf. We love people, and a part of our role is pastoring people, or that's mine. That's a part of my role, is loving on, pastoring, discipling people. And once there's a connection made and like someone feels like family to you, it doesn't, like, you leaving doesn't change that connection.
Mm.
So I think it's even more about like the connection that we make with people. Once we get with the people, I just think that from there, the flame is brighter.
Sure.
The flame is there, you know? Yeah. And so for me, like, just being with the people, I love hearing people's stories. I love connecting. I love that part of it. And I think that's really like how this continues to grow.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's always about the people. And it's a grind. Like, to be independent is a grind. Like, we're about to start 5 year of my 5-year plan. You know, I'm a driven go-getter. You know, we're talking a lot about God and Jesus. Well, I think God also gave us minds and work ethics. Yeah. And he says, put your hand to the plow and don't look back. And I think, you know, we're not sitting in a room praying that God would just let us do something or make us famous or rich or whatever. Like, we are working hard. We're writing hard. We started our social media on January 1st, 2021. That was kind of our launch. You know, I toured with Dylan 2 more years after that, 2.5 more years after we started that. So like, we're on a grind of like, write songs, put them out, do the social media, do the things, do everything you can, so that if God chooses to elevate a song to more people, everything else is ready, you know? And like Jacqueline said, like, in every part of that process, like, everything we do, we start with loving people. And I tell you who one of the greatest I've ever seen do that is not a Christian artist. It's Luke Bryan.
Okay. When
you're backstage at a Luke Bryan show, you feel like you're on top of the world. He loves people. He treats people right. He celebrates other people's successes. He pulls people up to where he is. And it's unbelievable. And being on that tour, actually not in a Christian context, I think taught me more than I could have learned in a lot of other places. Of like,
just love people.
Hey, like, what if you just love people and just let the dust settle where it settles? Like,
totally.
Don't get caught up in how many buses and trucks you have and how many tickets you can sell and all that. All that will come if you just don't quit and keep loving people. And like Derek said, when we were told last winter, no, you guys don't have a single on the radio, we can't book you, you know, from some very nice people. Like, they weren't wrong at all. Like, they were, as far as the industry
speaking from their experience,
they were correct.
Yeah.
Well, then Lot was kind of like, hold my beer. I don't know if he drinks beer, but that's the saying.
Yeah.
And before you know it, we got 85 dates on the books, and we're going out with Rhett Walker.
Yeah,
and it's like, how does that even happen?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
Well, so let me do this, because I want to go back and then we're going to go forward a little bit, right?
Sure.
But I want to go back to the conversation earlier. So Jack, you had mentioned, you know, the Lord had kind of put it in your, you know, he sacrificed, right? So here's my question, and this is, and I'd be curious to know, how do you feel like you process discernment? And then how does that discernment work within the context of the three of you?
Wow.
Does
that's
that make
the best question anybody's ever asked us.
Yeah. Processing discernment, I don't really know if I can explain that well.
You just kind of know.
Yeah. I feel like when you truly seek God on something, he's not going to withhold an answer from you. Yeah. That's just not in his nature. Because if we believe that we're his sons and daughters, like, think about your dad. A good father wants to give you everything and more. And like, God's not going to be like, well, no, that's not for you, you know? And so, I mean, and it was probably like my prayer journal, pages at the top, Garrett opportunities. So, I mean, daily I was praying on his behalf of just God provide him a way to provide for our family through music, through his giftedness. And so it wasn't like an overnight thing. Like I'd been seeking God on this. And I think it was time. My ears were open. My heart was ready. We were ready for that. And I just knew, like, I don't know how to explain it, but
sometimes Dad says this sometimes, like, sometimes I think, and you gotta be careful with this, but I'm gonna say it out loud. Like sometimes I think that when God impresses on your heart to be prayerful about something, he's kind of telling you what he's about to do. Like it's almost like when Jacqueline was praying for that opportunity, like God already knew the opportunity was coming. You know, he already knew the path.
I didn't change his mind or
plan. Yeah, he didn't change his mind. But it's almost like, hey, I want you need to do a bunch of prep before this. I think and then when it happened, it was the discernment is, oh, that's confirmation. Yeah. That's not a surprise. Like that's confirmation of what you're already doing.
Because I think in our situation, like it would be harder for me because I had the same dreams. And like he's going and I'm staying home. Yeah. So I think God had
and Derek's going. Even more so than that. Your whole family's going.
Yeah. Well, my whole band was leaving. Yeah. You know, everything that I knew about music was going into a world that we had dreamed about going into together, you know? Sure. And so I think God was just kind in prepping my heart first and like placing that in my spirit and then answering that before we got the call. Because it was just like, of course we have to do like that. Like there's no way I can say when God says this, we have to do something different. Sure. You know, so I think about that scripture that says, align my spirit to yours, oh God. And he just aligned my spirit to his. And it brought peace when a really tough decision of like doing ministry in different directions. Like that's hard when all you've known is doing ministry in the same direction. And at that point, I mean, we're talking like years of doing ministry in the same direction. And so I don't know. I think God was just kind to give me insight before everything started moving. Because one of my things I don't like to be blindsided and by anything. Like I just don't. Yeah. And so God just
blindsidedness produces anger.
Yeah, it's not anxiety. It's anger.
Yeah.
And God was like, you know, I'm just gonna help you out on this one.
Y'all are kind of alike in that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, but I think it's all three of us now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah.
But then like at that point, God's already doing it. So, and how Garrett said earlier, like our yes has always been on the table. When the phone rings, we believe that God's saying go. And so the phone rang, God was presenting an opportunity. God had already affirmed that in my spirit. And so it's easy to go. I mean, like not easy, but it makes it, I don't know, more peaceful to go.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not easy, but it was peaceful.
But we have a trust, like, even if we aren't always like, I don't know, sometimes, you know, just like in any relationship, you rub and it is what it is. It's brothers and sisters, it's husband and wife, but there is a deep trust in our relationship. And so when one says there's some things that Derek's feeling about this next season, and there's some things that we've felt before, and like, we just trust that God is speaking that over us and we're listening and we're going to just go when he says go, you know? And so there's just a deep trust there, I think, because we've done a lot of life together and we've seen each other's heart and character. And we know that we truly like pursue the Lord's will for our life. So it makes it easy to follow, you know, someone's lead, at least in our tribe right here.
Well, so. And can I say too, you know, and you mentioned in your journal, you know, you mentioned, you know, Garrett, you know, like praying for, you know, and I mean, and Gary, you could speak to this too, but like when your wife is praying for you, man, it is rocket fuel, dude. It is like when you know that your wife is praying for you, man, it is like next level, like captivation. You know what I'm saying? Like
there's nothing better than a supportive wife. There's nothing worse than one that doesn't get it. It's miserable. And, you know, I think Jacqueline really, even though there were some really, really hard times, like Jacqueline trusted me and Derek to know when it was her turn.
Yeah.
Like, and we didn't know. Like there was never a date, you know, but I remember at that Whataburger, you know, in Fort Worth, Derek said, "Hey man," because I'm a hold on kind of guy. Hang on. And Derek said, "Hey man, I mean, I want to paint this picture for you. There's 5,000 people in this room. We're about to go play a show to. Derek has a drum tech. He's the MD. The day rate's pretty dang good, on that gig at the time. And Derek sets me down and go, hey, man, it's time.
Oh,
like,
wow.
you got to let go.
Yeah, man.
And we're going to go together,
Yeah, and man, it's just like, because you're making, I mean, you're not necessarily going from steak to ramen noodles, but I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it's like, hey, man,
yeah, pretty
we're
good.
we're eating pretty good, man.
How good of a living we were making.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, you're doing all right.
I would do non-guilty shopping therapy, anytime.
Yeah.
But that ended.
Yeah.
That ended.
No doubt. Well, so here's the thing. So I'm going to point a little bit forward. I know you guys have been just like on the road and doing the grind. And you mentioned, the Rhett Walker tour. Like, how's that going? And then even beyond that, heading into 2025, I mean, where do you guys think God's leading you and kind of, where are we headed? Where are we going?
Oh man, I don't know. I'm kidding. Rhett is amazing. We've known Rhett for a while, not like super close. We just met him through we actually some guys who's playing his band. We brought over to Dylan Scott's band years ago when he kind of took a break, and so we knew he was awesome, but we didn't know how life-changing. I'm being serious. Yeah. I'm not being dramatic. How life-changing just him being a friend to us was going to be for us. And so it's been absolutely amazing. I mean, everywhere we go, he sells out. And I think he flies under the radar in the Christian music industry just because he marches to the beat of his own drum in a good way. Yeah. We always talk all the time. It's like he doesn't always pick the sexiest route. Like it's not Winter Jam or it's not what XYZ. But he is Rhett Walker. It's exactly who Rhett Walker is, whether he's on stage, in the van, at home with his wife and kids.
Yeah.
And that's been just an amazing lesson for us to learn. He's got everything he needs and writes and plays songs he wants to play and loves the Lord and cares and actually holds his family above all of that. I'll share this story. The first week of the tour, actually, we had to cancel. We played one show, and Rhett lives in Georgia, in Augusta, or near there, and that hurricane came through, and he called us and was like, hey, my two oldest babies are at home. We're not doing these shows. I've got to go home. Wasn't even like, we've sold all these tickets, and we got it. He's like, I don't care. I'm going home. Yeah. And that's the kind of guy he is. Yeah. And a lot of people don't get to see that. But what I was going to say about the tour in general, we've just gotten to get in front of a lot of people every night and play our songs. And Rhett goes and tells them all to buy our T-shirts. So we've been having to reorder T-shirts.
Yeah, I love that.
He's very kind and generous, and I think just his general attitude or like disposition towards the music industry. I can't remember if you said it before we came on or after, but like how the sausage is made. Yeah. And it's like I still like sausage.
Yeah. Oh, but, yeah. We don't like sausage.
But I think just learning like, we used to do like 180 shows a year with Dylan. And Rhett's like, well, you don't have to do that. I was like, oh, you don't have to like just be gone every day for a whole month? He's like, no, you don't have to. He's like, oh, okay, cool. It's like just learning like just because the grind is the grind doesn't mean you always have to be in the grind.
Yeah.
Like there's a very just healthy approach to life and touring and even money and family like that we've gotten to just kind of like just walk into with Rhett and just enjoy the journey. Yeah. Like we've worked with different people over the years that they were just always, it's always not that this is a bad thing, but there's always this striving to the next thing.
Sure.
Well, okay, I got a number one. I need the next number one.
Yeah.
Well, we're selling 1,000 tickets. We need to sell 2,000 tickets. We need to blah, 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 whatever. And Rhett just seems to really enjoy the journey. Yeah. And it's let us kind of safely, I feel like we got to start our version of touring as Cline in like this little safety bubble.
Mhm.
We got to kind of ease into it, and
Sure.
Yeah, he's got just a really healthy outlook on the industry, on music, how to do it, and those are the types of artists that have a 50-year career.
Yeah.
You think about like
they're not bottle rockets.
Yeah, they're not bottle rockets, and like it may not, his name may not come up first when you type in Christian music.
Yeah.
It may be third, but it's like, man, that's a guy that in 15 years, you'll be like, hey, Rhett Walker's playing the theater down the street, and he's got another 3 hits, and like his songs matter and they connect with people. And then, I mean, he's a long lasting boots in the dirt artist that he'll have a stage until he dies, because
and he's still doing it with gladness and laughter.
Yep. Doesn't take himself too seriously. And Lord knows we need that, because we don't take ourselves seriously at all. But like sometimes I think it's a problem sometimes, because you're trying to get more serious.
No, I mean, listen, and I think that's a testament to, not only, obviously what you've seen in Rhett, but even how it kind of speaks to me today. It's just like, to wake up with gratitude, right? Like to wake up and truly just be grateful, right? Like for, any number of a million blessings you've truly got going on, whether it's, again, a wife that's praying for you, you got healthy kids, whatever, any number of things that you're looking at, and just to be grateful, because what happened, like you mentioned, like with the industry, the goalpost always moves, right? I mean,
every day it's moving, it feels like.
Right. And so it's like, well, and you get a little bit of that taste in your mouth, and it's just like, man, one hit, I think I need 5. I think I could really I could be good at 5, right? Until you're not. And, and then it's just like, man, how do I get 6? So it's just like, it's just kind of, how do I keep these things in perspective and just be grateful, probably. So, well, listen, I appreciate, you guys. I mean, you've been on with us here for a little bit, and it's our first, episode, and we're very, very thankful to have you guys on and to hear more about, what you're doing. And so when does the tour with Rhett kind of wrap up? Like, when does that?
We're finishing up the week before Thanksgiving. So we got 10 dates left on the tour. We're thanks be to God, the Clines are taking off in December. And that's been just such a gift. Part of getting to work so hard this summer was we're going to be able to take off in December. And then I don't think we can announce what we're doing yet.
Okay.
But we do have something cooking for spring 2025. So that's coming soon. Maybe the next time we're on, we can tell you about that.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
So we're pretty excited about that. And then it's just it's literally just a new season of trusting God, man. Like it's trying to figure out, hey, what are we going to do next year? I don't know. We'll see. But we're pretty excited about the spring and some other things that are working. We're doing some stuff with this conglomerate called The Church Will Sing.
Okay.
And it's kind of a worship thing that our friend Jonathan Mason put together with Curb Word, that involves artists and singers and musicians from all over the industry and not in the industry and all over the country. And it just seems it's a very pure, special thing. And so we're going to do some stuff with them again. They're going to release a record that Worthy One's going to be on. And we just did Experience Conference together, and then we're going to do some stuff, I think, next year together. And it just feels like just everything God told us was going to happen is happening.
Yeah.
It's just kind of going. And so we're, it's not all easy, but we do have a sense of, we used to just feel like we were on the outside looking in to the house that God's building.
Yeah.
And now we're feeling like God's building the house around us, It feels like the walls are coming up, and it's like, oh, they will put a roof up here someday,
Yeah.
And so it just feels really great. It's awesome just to be going,
Sure, man. Well, listen, and we're obviously, man, we're glad to be a part of it in a small way. And, we're pulling for you guys, and we're praying for you guys, as you guys just get out and try to love on people as best you can. And so I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think that people can find you at clinemusic.com. Is that correct?
You
to
got
check
it.
out tour dates, etc. Check out the Cline cast if you get a chance. Episode 2.
Yeah.
They're going to
Coming
be
up.
talking about, my hometown, Fort Worth, Texas. Hopefully gets a mention.
Yeah.
But man, thank y'all for jumping on. And again, if y'all need anything from us in the short term or the long term, let us know. Okay.
Well, we are very thankful for you guys.
Yeah.
It should not go without saying, like, the Enterprise, no offense to Enterprise, they can't do for us what you guys do for us.
Yeah.
People, and you know this because you've been in the industry, and anybody listening that's done any sort of touring knows, like, it works better when you work with people who understand what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, there are nuts and bolts that it doesn't matter how spiritual you are. It doesn't matter how good the night was in Fort Worth if you're sitting on the side of the road and you can't get home to your kids.
Yeah.
And so we just are so appreciative of what you guys do and the way you do it in style, with gratitude, with grace. It is just so amazing. And so I just want you to know, and your listeners to know, we're so thankful for you.
Yes,
and we will come on this podcast.
Yeah.
Anytime.
No, thanks, man.
Love
no,
to
thanks.
talk.
We should do one live from a Nashville event.
I would love that, man. Yeah, I would love it. And I
You
would
should
love
come
it.
on our podcast.
I'll come
You
listen.
should be on Clinecast.
Yeah.
Clinecast.
It's a mouthful, man, but I love it. Yeah.
Idea. We're doing that.
No, I love it, man. And no, thank you for saying that. I'm going to pass that word on to our team, man, because
thank you.
I can,
please do.
And listen, maybe we cut this, maybe we don't, but our team, I think, truly has a mindset. We want to help people. We want to serve people. And one thing that we do focus on, man, is, like you said, man, if you're stuck on the side of the road, we take ownership over that, man, and we want to, obviously we don't want that to happen, but but we want to get you back safely, so because there's a lot on the line for you guys, right? Like, you got families, you got, there's a lot. So but yeah, we appreciate you saying that.
Sure. You need to leave all that in there. We love it.
Maybe so. Yeah, maybe so. Well, listen, y'all are, and I mean this, man. Y'all can tell that you're family. You can tell that you're good at it, and it means a lot that y'all are just your most authentic selves the last hour or so, and we appreciate that for sure. So tell you what, check them out, clinemusic.com, Clinecast episode 2, and guys, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. Talk to you soon.